Mondo Sanbonani, hello, how's it? And shalom, a good evening to you, Erev Tov. If you are just joining us and maybe you're new to the channel, this is the Big Daddy Liberty Show. Oh my goodness, it has been a while since I have been on the show. Man, I feel like being on the road sometimes makes it very difficult to catch up with you guys, to be able to say, hey man, what's going on? This of course is your premier show that talks all things freedom with me, Sikle Ngobese, or Big Daddy Liberty. Welcome to it. If you're just joining, you're gonna have to excuse me if I dip up and down. All my equipment is down here in front of me, and I'm in a very different location to what has been the usual. Welcome to it if you're on the show. I'm going to try my level best to keep an eye on the comments, but as I said, the screen is rather far from me, so you're going to have to forgive me if I cannot read all the comments tonight. With that being said, let me just double check that you guys can hear me clearly, that the sound isn't too high or too low. Once I get some confirmations in that regard, we'll kick off the show. Man, oh man, oh man, is it a jam-packed show. So make sure you like, share, subscribe on the Big Daddy Liberty Show. And whatever you do, smash that like button right now. Smash that like button right now and share this link as far as possible. I'm seeing some good feedback already. Zane the man saying sound is good. Next Live, sound is good. Sharon White, sound is good. Thank you so much, guys, for confirming that the sound is pashash. And with that being said, I'm going to introduce a hashtag which I'm hoping to get going generally for the Big Daddy Liberty Show. That's hashtag stand with BDL. That's hashtag stand with BDL. I'm going to give it a moment again, guys, for more people just to join us on the stream. Maybe they are leaving their favorite YouTuber or vlogger. And whilst I'm doing that, let me take this opportunity to thank every single one of you who have joined the mission and become Patreon subscribers. You are donating $1 a month or 20 Rand a month towards the show and allowing me to do the work of, being able to not only produce the show, to get around to various locations, to provide that alternative media, which is desperately needed in this country. For those of you who are on the Liberty bus, who are donating that single dollar, as little as a single dollar a month or 20 Rand a month, I'm super, super appreciative. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping also whilst I'm at this point by asking you, if you're not a donator on the show yet, you can do that. Just go to the descriptor of this video by donating a single dollar a month via Patreon. That's www.patreon.com. Search for Big Daddy Liberty and pledge a little something to your favorite fat boy and fighter for classically liberal ideas in South Africa. Or okay, maybe you want a direct donation. You want to do a little something via PayPal. You can do that, of course, by using my PayPal email address. That's bigdaddylibertyza@gmail.com. Do not use that email address to communicate with me. If you want to get in touch with the show, we'll soon have a number that you can use. But if you want to get in touch in the show in the meantime, hey, send me an email. How about you email me at bdl@bigdaddylibertyshow.com. That's bdl@bigdaddylibertyshow.com. All right. As I mentioned, I will also do a little bit of housekeeping on the show. And I see a question here very quickly, a bank account. Guys, I don't have a bank account quite yet. I'm working on that, especially as the BDL show is it's growing. I will work on a bank account and I'll make those details available soon. If you want to also donate by sending a super chat here, please, guys, you can do that. You can send a super chat. In fact, I'm seeing two come through already. Space Brother Productions. All right. Thank you very much, my brother, for that super chat. Were these fires arson? The question is. Keep up the good work. Hey, man, we'll get to that in the show. Remember, the show will be an hour. I'm going to bring on two guests at the half-hour mark. That's Gideon Hubert, better known as Paratus, for those of you who are part of paratus.info. That's his website. Check him out. All things gun-related, self-defense, the works. He is my go-to guy for issues around self-defense and gun rights. I'm going to have him on the show, and we're going to have a chat about this. And of course, I'm going to have Umpiake Gamini on the show. That's a face and a voice a lot of you guys maybe haven't heard from in a while. I haven't spoken to the good homie in a while. Lots of changes in his life. I'll bring him on at the half-hour mark. Remember, the show will be an hour. We should be done by 8:30. So that being said, I'm going to get into it just in a moment. I also want to shout out Ryan Fuller. Whoa, 11 euros, basically. Thank you so much, Ryan. I super appreciate that, my brother. Thank you for the love. I see you on that. So, guys, we're going to have a jam-packed show. The first half hour, I'm going to bring you footage that I've been working and compiling since I was in Senekal last week. Those of you who saw the live stream from that part of the world will know exactly what I'm talking about. Senekal, of course, being the shall I call it the epicenter of what became shenanigans by this country's largest leftist communist party, the EFF, with them descending on that small town, claiming, of course, that they're there to protect state property by way of the court, and then becoming the very people who destroy state property. But I'll bring you those images a little later. When I spoke to the EFF, the ordinary, rank and file in that part of the world, and I asked them the question, what are you doing here? What is the purpose of the EFF coming here where this should be an issue for the local farmers and the local community of Senekal and Paul Rue, who are honoring the memory of Brendin Horner? This was a 22-year-old young farm worker in that part of the world who was savagely murdered by two suspects who are currently appearing before that Senekal court. So I asked them the question, what are you doing here when actually it should be the locals and the farmers really who have a not an exclusive, I mean, this is a free country, anybody can be anywhere they want, but who have a legitimate, if I can call it, reason to be there. Would have been the farmers and the locals coming to protest, as I said, demanding justice for young Brendin Horner. And again, my heart goes out to the Horner family and just really the community of Paul Rue and Senekal, that entire area. We'll keep an eye on that story, and I'll bring you updates on the BDL show. So tonight's show, I'm going to bring you some of the interviews I had with the EFF members, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about when I say that the EFF, and this is the larger point, I think, of what you're going to see tonight, the EFF had no interest in not only Brendin Horner or justice, or even protecting the South African justice system. No, not at all. If anything, the EFF went there purely for politics. The EFF, the attention whores that they are, literally went there to use that moment for their own political ends as PR, effectively, for the attention whoreness, if that's even a word, that the EFF has literally become in this country. Because you need to ask yourself the question, just in terms of a little bit of political analysis, what exactly has the EFF done in the last 6 to 8 months to a year? What has it really done of significance that added to the conversation in this country? What has it really done? Has it provided analysis, any sort of meaningful insight? For instance, this country went through a 6-month, and still is, lockdown. I mean, we're on day 206, if I'm not mistaken, of lockdown. One of the longest in the world, if not the longest in the world. Asinine lockdown as that is. And shout out to Jonathan Witt and partners who are actually taking the cooperative governance minister, that's Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, to court on this issue of this lockdown, of saying, what is the rationale of this lockdown? And they're going to challenge this in court. So shout out to them. Hopefully I'll have them on the show on a larger date. But I digress. What did the EFF actually provide as a meaningful contribution to this society? The short answer is nothing, of course. The short answer is nothing. And what it has been for them is a sense of FOMO. They have a sense of FOMO because they know that, number one, they were falling out of the media cycle, so to speak, and no one really cares what the EFF thinks. No one really cares what Julius Malema thinks. So what do? They resort to theatrics. They resort to political theater. They use shock tactics to try and gain media attention, not contribute to the society, not be of use to man or beast, but just to get media attention, to project the facade of being useful in this country. And we saw that, unfortunately, where that naked ambition of theirs to get attention, that desperate attempt to be in the limelight, saw them exploit a moment like that of the court case of Brendin Horner in Senekal, where they descended on that town and bussed in supporters. Because one thing became patently clear when I engaged the EFF members who were there in their thousands. I mean, there was about 1,500, maybe 2,000 people that the EFF brought there. The one thing that became patently clear is that the overwhelming majority of those people were bussed in. The EFF does not have a foothold, a meaningful foothold in that part of rural South Africa. It really doesn't. Where you could see it even on the day where local residents, black and white, would stand, on the corner side, stand next to the shops that they frequent and look at the spectacle that is the EFF. These red-clad commies marching up and down their streets, antagonizing the farmers, antagonizing the local community, clashing with the bikers, as we saw in images, clashing with the police, because that's all they do. They know that the media in this country love that action and will give them page-to-page media coverage simply for being the buffoons that they are. So we saw that. And my goal, if anything, was to then go there and talk to the ordinary rank and file. The people who stood in that blaring sun, listening to Julius Malema waffle away on the stage, waxing lyrical about nonsense that he knows very little about, was to talk to that ordinary rank and file member and ask them the question, what are you doing here? What significance do you bring to this moment? Do you even know Brendin Horner? Do you even know what the court case was about? Now, a lot of you who watched the vlog, the live vlog that I did from there, saw that one interview I featured with the young lady from the EFF who basically said, well, we're here against racism. Oh, really? What racism, I ask? Well, the white ones were being racist. Oh, really? Which white ones? I'm not sure, she says. That pretty much sums up what the EFF members thought they were there to do. They didn't know what they were there to do. So it became anything and everything related to their talking points and their asinine ideology that became the reason for them being there. Racism? What racism? Well, they don't know, just any racism. Anything justifies the EFF, the red in tooth and claw commies, appearing somewhere, desperate for media attention, desperate for cameras to be pointed in their direction. So I'm going to bring you that tonight. I've got a few cuts that I'm going to go to. The first one really exemplifies the sheer asinine nature of the EFF and how sometimes, even within the EFF, you need these, let me call them whipping masters, who are the political elites of that party. You need them to whip up and continuously remind the rank and file the hatred and the anti-white, anti-any other race than black notions. Because I've always said this, the average South African, that includes the average EFF member, are actually good people. They are God-fearing, law-abiding, and family-orientated people. And that, if anything, it is the politics in this country which lacks diversity, most of it being on the left, and most of it obsessed with race. It is that politics which not only muddies the water, it poisons the well. It poisons the well. And that it is this political elite who basically are the hate mongers in this country, desperate to divide the country based on race and any other arbitrary thing. It is that difference between the ordinary South African, even if they're in the EFF, and the political elite that became starkly clear on that day in Senekal. I'm going to go to cut 1, which almost exemplifies that. When and this is the context behind it, a Christian group arrives. You also saw them in the live stream. A Christian group arrives and says, you know what, we're not here to pick sides, this is them. We're just here to hand out water because, that is the Christian thing to do, to be of service to all man. And I've talked before on the show how a lot of our values are derived from our religions. I derive my values from Judaism. The vast majority of South Africans in this country who are Christians derive their values from their Christian faith. And of course, our Muslim brothers and sisters here too. And these values are actually quite common amongst us. Caring for the next man is a common value. And this man rocks up, this group rocks up, and they're beginning to hand out water. Guys, it was scorching hot on that day. I think it was around 34, 35 degrees. And the EFF actually hadn't provided water to their members. And these guys were actually doing a very good thing. So I'm going to cut to that. That's cut 1. And you'll see exactly what happened. And you'll see what I mean when I say there's a difference between the ordinary rank and file who recognize a good deed and the whipping masters, the political elites within the EFF. And other political parties, really, who are the whipping masters who have to keep reminding people of our racial divisions and all these other divisions to keep the hatred going. So I'm going to cut to that. Forgive me for just dipping down here on my screen. And bear with me, guys. I'm just trialing a new tech here. But this is cut 1, which basically shows you how the EFF are, especially their leadership, are dead set on there being divisions in this country. But it's basically just to ask, why is busy with the water there? So who am I talking to?
You're talking to Daryl Hardy from Dare to Love. Love is the answer for South Africa. In Africa, we've come out here just to bless everyone. We don't care what skin colour they are. We know that God's got a good plan for this nation. You see behind here, it's just a movement.
There you go.
Zulu, English, Afrikaans. Modimo Lerato, Jesu Lutano, God is love. Yeah, so come to give some waters if you'd like here too. We've got a whole lot of water. And the Word of God. We've got probably about 1,000 Bibles believing that it's going to come back. There's a third chapter for South Africa. We've had a chapter of religion and it's broken us. We've had relations. We've had our moment of rebellion. God wants relationship. He wants our hearts. So we believe it's all about the heart. So today we've come here to be peacemakers. The word says, blessed is a man who brings good news. Blessed is a man who brings peace. We declare peace here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll tell you why I said sure. Martin, hi, nice to meet you. Big Daddy Liberty on the Big Daddy Liberty look at online. So on the show, we often talk about faith, flag, family and freedom as being our values. I'm a South Africans that cut across political lines, that cut across race, etc. When the grievances are real, by the way, do you mind telling me about them briefly in 30 seconds?
It's a non-profit organization. We don't work with any money. We don't take any money. We are just here, some people that love Jesus. That says Jesus is not related to church, he's in the street. And he's there for everyone. And we're going to have success in this country if we start loving each other. Because together we can build this nation. We're divided, we're not going to go anywhere. And we believe that in taking hands, we are going to conquer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much. I mean, you guys are handing out water here. That's really fantastic. And Baba, I see you from the EFF. What do you think about this? Is this the sort of message that we need in South Africa of, regardless of race, we become a society defined by love and loving each other as people? What are your thoughts?
My brother, my thoughts are one. As long as they preach humanity to us as blacks, everything will be all right, because humanity will give birth to justice. Justice will give birth to harmony and peace. If they believe in Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, then everything will be all right.
Yes. Are you a Christian too, my brother?
I'm also a Christian because I believe in Jesus Christ. But then Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior, the Bible states itself saying, at the beginning there was the Word. I believe in the Word. That is why I'm engaging now with my words and saying now we may preach humanity. But if then they fight us, we fight toe to toe. We are not scared.
Okay, well, hopefully there'll be no fighting today. I think today's a day of absolute peace. And I mean, look at this, for example. They're handing out water to all members here, and maybe as a final thought,
we don't need the water.
You don't need the water. Are you sure?
Yeah, we are good.
Do you guys have water? Okay, all right. All right. They don't need water. All right, guys. I think. I think EFF members are saying they shouldn't take the water. I'm not sure why. Why can't, Baba? Why can't you take water?
Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Hi guys, why can't you people take the water?
Why wanna what like I need out of the blue?
I think by the Christian group, and they wanted just to donate medicine to everybody.
Out of all the people born.
What do you mean by born? The Christians?
I know.
Okay.
She told him to put the water back.
There you have it. EFF leadership came out and basically told their members not to take the water. Not sure why. I mean, it's water, guys. I seem to be struggling with my tech here. Pardon me on that one, guys. I seem to be struggling with the tech, and there's going to be a little bit of a delay in you seeing this part. It's going to continue on. Sorry, I am trialing new technology. My apologies for that. But yeah, guys, it's that first cut. That first cut was actually quite telling, wasn't it? Insofar as it showed you exactly what's wrong. It showed you exactly what's wrong with the EFF. You can have a situation where ordinary people are receiving something as precious as water delivered by this Christian group, and it has to take the EFF leadership. Excuse me. Oh yikes! Kombucha came back, didn't it? It had to take the EFF leadership to come and remind people that no. You know, you're not supposed to take water or do something which vaguely looks like unity, which vaguely looks like, you know, people accepting help or working together. And what I thought I had recorded, but clearly don't, is the comments those two EFF ladies you saw. Those are actually two members of parliament for the EFF, who then said, you know, who are these white people to come and give water to blacks? That water, quote, could be poisoned, close quote. That's your EFF. That's your EFF that did that. So again, I have to remind people a lot that there is a very big difference between the ordinary South African, even if they're in the EFF or the ANC or any of these lefty parties. There's a very big difference between them, that actually there's a lot of things we have in common insofar as our values. And when I spoke to that young EFF member, and you know, I asked him, hey man, are you a Christian? Do you identify with these values? Do you see what good these fellow Christians are doing? And he sort of had this weird robotic way of talking, but you heard him say, yeah, I am a Christian, and there's certain principles that, you know, I can agree with. And then he went into a different diatribe. But ultimately, it's a reinforcement, a reminder of why I say that our values as South Africans are quite common. The values of faith, flag, family, and freedom. And that sometimes people who share those very values can find themselves in asinine political parties simply because there are no politicians in this country who fully reflect these values. So I'm cautious. I'm cautious about, you know, not dismissing people, even if they're in parties like the EFF. You know, I'll be very critical, absolutely. I'll be very critical, as I should and as you should. But you've got to remember that if we're going to win people over, if we're going to win the battle of ideas, then we actually have to be able to communicate to people and find the common ground and then work on the ideas, or rather push out the ideas that win the argument and changes the climate of ideas in this country. That is how you win a young man like that who's in the EFF. And speaking about winning EFF members or ANC members or any of these lefties in this country, speaking about winning the hearts of minds of even them, next week I'll bring you some other episodes or inserts or even short clips of engagements that I had with EFF members there, where in real time you can see me winning them over with my arguments and seeing them actually abandon the idealism, the socialism and the communist idealism in real time. And I show you that this is possible. I show you that this is possible, winning even the staunchest EFF member on the ideas. But yeah, I just thought I had to share that. And again, my apologies for that double/triple sound. You know, I'm trialing a new software, and it literally played all three cuts at the same time. So I'm going to try play cut 2, and I'll see if it doesn't glitch on me. And so bear with me. I will keep an eye on it. And cut 2 is very important, because cut 2 was me then just going member to member and asking them the question, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Do you know who Brendin Horner is? Do you know why that the farming community is so emotional about this issue? So I'll bring you that cut in a moment. Bear with me. Just a quick housekeeping message. Excuse me. I don't know why I had to think about that word. I'm going to start assigning moderators for the comment section, because I know a lot of the comments become hidden, and this is a free speech channel. I don't want to censor or have YouTube censor any comments. The only thing that I just would discourage, of course, is trolling. So I'm going to start assigning some moderator roles, especially to people who I know are on the show every week. So just watch out for that. You might be in the comment section. I might make you a moderator. If you're watching this on YouTube, on Facebook, which will be, this clip will be uploaded later. You know, I'll figure out how we do that on Facebook too. All right, so bear with me, guys, as I go back to my software here, and I bring you cut 2, where I basically speak to the EFF members, a multitude of them. This is about a 5-minute clip, and you'll see exactly what their rationale for being there was. Number one, they definitely weren't there for Brendin Horner. Most of them don't even know who that is. Number two, a lot of them don't even know what's going on in the courtroom, which was the very reason supposedly they were brought down there. Number three, a lot of them were just there for the free t-shirt and perhaps, you know, the good times of a bus trip to Senekal. And you could see that, where they articulate a whole myriad of issues that have nothing to do with the purpose of being there on the day. So bear with me, guys, as I go back into my software over here. Please, Lord, let this work. All right, cut 2. Here we go.
Hey.
Hi, sorry, I can see you're quite busy today. That's it.
We've come out here just to bless everyone. We don't care what skin color they are. We know that God's got a good plan for this nation. You can see behind here, it's just a movement.
Oh, there you go.
Zulu, English, Afrikaans. Modimo Lerato, Jesu Lutando, God is love.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so come to give some waters if you'd like here too. We've got a whole lot of water.
Absolutely.
And the word
Here to fight anyone.
Yeah.
We are here to say that let's allow the Lord to take its course. You
Yeah.
see. We cannot allow a certain group, more especially the minority, to think that they can do whatever they do because they are not happy. We are just allowing anarchy. We are here to say that anarchy is not allowed in South Africa.
I would partially agree with this, but I'll tell you why I say I partially agree, and I want to get your view very briefly. So if you look online, on social media, a lot of people are saying, but hang on, does the EFF say these things when we see protests, violent protests in our townships and our informal settlements, where the grievances are real, by the way. I'm not dismissing our grievances are, but we don't see EFF come and protest and say, guys, don't destroy state property, don't destroy public property. In fact, some might even say EFF itself has been guilty of what you're accusing the minority of doing. What are your thoughts on that view?
Unfortunately, in most cases whereby there are community protests, I think what is happening, the media in most cases has not actually covered that, whereby EFF has said that we do not really condone the vandalism, whatever that the people that are doing, just to show their frustration. We've already maintained our position in terms of saying that we cannot keep on destroying the infrastructure that is already there. That is what we've been. But this one, the reason that this one is very important, it's more that it has to do with racism. It has to do with undermining our own constitution. That's why we saw the space to say that no, as the EFF, not only as EFF, as the community, as the EFF, let's go and support the community of Senekal to say that we cannot allow them to be undermined by certain group of the white minority who feel that they are not happy about certain things, but they are doing the wrong things.
Guys, very quick question, ne? Why are you here today? What's the importance of you being here today? What's your message?
Revolution.
Revolution. What does the revolution mean for you? What are the details?
For the black people.
Sorry?
We're here for the black people.
Yeah. I have two simple questions really for the fighters. I'm going to begin here. I'm going to go to the farmers and then I'll talk to some of the local residents. Why are you here today? What's the importance of you being here today? What's the message that you think the community of Senekal must derive from EFF presence here today? Guys, sir, if I may begin with you.
No, it's just to restore our dignity. And these people, they think we'll come here and vandalize or we are fighting with them. No, we are peaceful. We've had bigger demonstrations than this.
There's obviously a lot of fear in the city of Senekal now. And I want to put this to you just to get your response. Some saying that Malema's rhetoric, your leader's rhetoric in the lead up to this was radically raising the temperature. One journalist described it. What do you think about your leader? Has he been responsible in this? And what's his message, do you think, in terms of his presence and calling fighters to come here?
Julius Malema, the CIC of us, no, he's radical. And I agree with him. Because when something is wrong, he just corrects it with immediate effect. What we've seen last week over the media and whatsoever, I mean, that is something that we can't be happy with. And
you mean the farmers when they stormed the court and...
Yes, that was totally...
Yeah.
Van, jump on top of the van. Now, that takes us back to the days of oppression. That's how the whites treated us. And now, in this so-called democratic country, we are still fighting. This is not a democratic country.
I must push back because my viewers would hate me if I didn't ask. There is a suggestion that there is a hypocrisy, perhaps from the EFF, because there have been scenes, for example, in the past where the EFF themselves are the ones who are destroying property, assaulting police officers. In fact, your leader's in court right now, if I may be frank, facing a charge of beating up a police officer at the funeral of Mama Winnie Mandela. What would your response be to that? Is there a hypocrisy to the EFF on this issue?
No, I don't.
There's always two sides of a story.
Can we just cross over to the lady? Sorry, sir.
There's always two sides of a story, and Julius Malema doesn't sweep things under the carpet. He puts it straight on the table. What is wrong, what is right. When it comes to him beating up a policeman, that I can't comment too much because there's always two sides of a story. Yes.
Why is today important for you, and what's your message today?
Like, my understanding.
You can take your mask off, sir.
My understanding is that I heard farmers they beaten up a black guy, and racism is a big thing here in South Africa. It's happening every day. People don't realize it and they don't take it into consideration that it's affecting a lot of people here in South Africa. Not only blacks, whites, coloreds is also going through this thing. I heard farmers they beaten up a black guy, And
Well, you heard it.
racism is a big thing here in South Africa.
I hope I'm
It's
back
happening every
properly.
day. People don't
On here,
realize
give me a
it and
moment.
don't take it into
I'm sorry,
consideration.
guys. I'm sorry.
It's
Please
affecting a
forgive
lot
me.
of people here in South Africa.
Once I have
Not
enough
only blacks, whites,
money
also
on the
going
show,
through
I'll be able to hire people who can assist me
farmers,
and have a
they
tech in the background who can do this
beaten up a
and
black guy.
go to cuts. This is how I want the show to be
Racism
going
is a
forward.
big thing here in South
Me going out on the field, compiling stuff,
don't
and bringing it
realize
to
it.
you
Don't take
on the weekly basis on the show. It will be much more slicker. So maybe let me just quickly pump that. Guys, donate if you can. Help me grow the channel. Help me hire people who can help me do exactly this. But to come back to that, just to contextualize it and hopefully give some going forward, some feedback. Compiling stuff. Let me just double check on the weekly basis on the show. It will be much more slicker. So maybe let me just quickly pump that. Guys, donate. Goodness me. All right, guys. Forgive the glitchiness. I really am sorry about that. To come back to that, just to all right. The sound should be back. It really should be back. And guys, my apologies for the glitchiness of the show. It really is a matter of a bit of rustiness and a new program. So I'm going to give it a moment until I get a confirmation that the sound is back. When the sound is back, I will then... Sound should be back. All right, there we go. Sound is good. Sound is good. And all right, guys. Guys, all good. It's back. All right. Glitchiness of the show. My apologies for that, guys. Let me get back into this. So what I was basically saying, a new program when I was mute earlier back, I'm going to give it a moment until you could hear it yourself. The sound is back in the feedback. When I spoke to a lot of the EFF members, and again, this is just a choice selection of them. I mean, I spoke to dozens upon dozens upon dozens of them. It's back. All right, the vast majority of them, guys, didn't mention a single word about Brendin Horner. So what I was basically saying, the vast majority of them said nothing about the nature of the court case. The fact that, there are two men in that court case, again, who are applying for bail, and some of the testimony against them, including from a state witness, who basically said, this guy didn't mention a single word about Brendin Horner. So what I was basically saying, the vast majority of them said nothing about the nature of the court case. I'm hoping that fixes the echo. There are two men in that guys, I'm having a terrible day, aren't I? Who are applying for bail. All right, guys, I see. Including from a state witness, who basically said, this guy. All right, guys. I'm hoping the echo is gone, so I'm going to give it a moment. All right. Folks, we are having technical difficulties. I'm just going to give it a moment. To make sure. Lad Killer saying lol. No, it is a little funny, but it isn't at the same time because I practiced this so much. All right. It should be fine now. Oh, the comments are going by real quick, guys. All right. Looks like we're back. We're fixed. Echo is gone, it's gone, it's gone. Okay, great. Again, apologies for that, guys. But the point I was basically making, now I'm so scared to even go to cut 3, which is the final one. Anyway, the point I was making through my echo, is, none of them knew who Brendin Horner is. None of them even mentioned him. None of them even brought that up, which was a great indictment for me. Number 2, none of them really knew what the court case inside the court building was about. None of them knew what it was about. And if anything, these are people who were there just to prosecute their own issues, to grind out their own narratives, had nothing to do, with the issue of the day. And that became patently clear, and it's a massive problem, which begs the question of what exactly was the EFF there to do? All right, guys, I have no idea. I'm hearing no sound complaints now. Man, I'm really sorry. The feedback, I don't know what's wrong. Try audio now. Oh, goodness. All right, guys, hang on. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to take a quick break. I want to see what's going on. I'm going to take a 1-minute break. I want to see what exactly I've broken or not broken here, whatever the case may be. So I'll see you guys after the short message. I'll see you guys after this short message. All right, guys, we are having quite a horrendous evening, or I'm having a horrendous evening, and I'm really sorry about that. I feel ashamed. I did practice. I did, I did try and make sure that this would be perfect, and it's just proving to be quite a nightmare. So let me please profusely apologize about that. What I was trying to describe early on is that I've put these earphones on just to monitor my sound from the listener's perspective, and I've still got my sound running through the machine. So it should be coming through right now. In fact, I can hear myself as we speak. So maybe just to get the show ticking along, I was basically, when I was triple sound and mute, double sound, what I was describing is the nature of the EFF voters who were there, supporters were there. They didn't know why they were there. They actually didn't know why they were there. And you ask them, and they talk about anything and everything other than Brendin Horner, other than a quest for justice, other than the need for us to remind ourselves about who this young man is. And of course, nothing was said, of course, about even just the farming community in this country. Again, a massive indictment. By the way, a majority of them also didn't really know the argument set out by their leaders for why they were there. So for a lot of people, rocking up there was just a T-shirt and a fun bus trip from wherever they came from, because the vast majority didn't come from Senekal. They didn't come from Peru. They came from places, urban centers like Bloemfontein, and even here in Johannesburg. I mean, that last group was from El Dorado Park. That tells you everything you need to know about whether EFF rhetoric around, for instance, what we assume is popular amongst rural folk. We assume things like expropriation without compensation is popular. We assume that the idea of taking from one to give to the other by way of property is popular, but it isn't, because the EFF clearly does not have much of a foothold in rural parts of the country, at least in that part of the country, rural parts of the country, in that parts of the world. So I just thought I should share that with you, and because it's going to form a part of the conversation going forward, I think, as we look at the issues and we debate even the EFF types and change their minds. So look out for those, as I said in the previous insert. Guys, I'm a little behind on time because of all my technical glitches. I feel sorry for my guests, but let me just quickly get to the last segment that I wanted to talk about today on the show, which is a current one, a current affairs issue. There are farms across this country that are literally up in flames. There are farms across this country, mostly in Free State, Northern Cape, and some in KZN, I hear, that are literally up in flames. I'm in contact with some of the farmers who have sent me these videos, who sent me images of the devastation. And it begs the question, what is happening here? Are these fires a random accident? Or are we seeing cases and spates of arsonists so hell-bent on their ideology, that anti-farmer sentiment that we often hear in this country? I mean, in Senekal, just to go back there for a moment, the EFF were singing the disgusting and hateful song, Dubuli Boon. They were singing that nonsense. Some of them were even singing about setting fire. And what do we see nearly a week later, not less than a week later? Farms across this country up in flames. Guys, there is something fundamentally wrong in our society where the most useless in our society trash and destroy things of the most productive in our society. And I tweeted something along those lines this morning, that I live in a country where we sing the praises, of useless politicians, people who produce nothing. And then we criticize and malign and speak evil of those amongst our society who are the most productive, our farmers, for example, who feed everybody. You mean to tell me you don't see anything wrong with that? Am I being silly, perhaps? So I'm going to bring you cut 3, so you can see exactly the devastation I'm talking about. And please, God, I hope I get this right, because it's such a serious issue. It's such a serious issue. So I'm going to try and cut to cut 3, guys. Bear with me, please. And I'm really hoping it won't be a complete cluster. Well, cluster, you know what. It's all right. Here we go. But it's basically just 2 questions we'll ask. Why is today important for you? Why?
Brand maar die ou baler en wêreld brand af. Weet jy al die ander video geneem ek nie van die stoor nie. Ek wil net vir julle sê die stoor brand, die baler brand, maar die ou baler en baler brand, die wêreld brand af hier by ons. Dis nag.
Seker so die helfte van die trop van so 600. Ek kan nou nie veel presiese getal gee nie, maar soos ver as wat ek kry ek skape wat lê in die drade opgehang is. Ek kry nie geloop nie. So ja.
All right, I hope that worked the way it was supposed to, but I brought you that montage so you could see exactly the scale of the devastation, the nature of the fires they were fighting. I don't know if you saw that frightening looking volcano one, tornado one. That's what our farmers are facing this week. That's what our farmers are facing this week. I've received voice notes and recordings of voice notes of farmers who can barely hold their emotion. People that you can hear, they are watching their lifetime's work go up in ashes in front of them. And I asked that question at the end. Are these just an accident, or are these cases of arson? And if there's one thing I'm going to demand, is that law enforcement in this country has to zoom in with aggression and investigate these cases, And even as I say this, I feel the defeat. I feel the defeat in my voice because I know that they're not going to do this issue justice. But what we need to do as South Africans to support the farming community is literally support them right now in their time of need. I had that little link at the end with the information of how you can donate to the farmers. And I encourage you, once this video is up, of course, to go back, freeze the screen, and get that information, and please donate. Please donate to the farmers of Herzogsville, of Hopetown, of other communities that are literally reeling at the moment, farmers who don't know what they're going to do. And you can hear the emotion in their voice, guys. You can't not have a lump in your own voice watching a grown man look at the devastation and have him now wonder, that same farmer who feeds us, have him now wonder, will I be able to feed my own family with my business being this devastated? It fascinates me, the sort of threats that our farmers in this country are facing. We are punishing the productive in our society. And what scares me the most is that this is not the be-all, end-all of the threats they'll face. The very same politicians who often speak ill of them, who have made them an enemy class in this country, are now proposing legislation. It's at our doorstep of expropriation without compensation, where this is now being tabled in Parliament. They're going to ram it through. In fact, they're looking to ram it through by the end of this year. These very same farmers you saw in this clip, in this image, who are struggling, are now going to likely face that same politician who sings things like Dubuli Poon, that same politician who tells us that farmers are evil and that they're the source of white supremacy and all sorts of nonsense. Those same politicians are now going to give themselves the power to effectively steal property, not only from them, we all face that threat, but they're going to give themselves the power to steal that property. We're in trouble, guys. We're in trouble. And this is why I keep saying the most important work that we can do right now is in our communities to do the groundwork, to push back against these ideas. Guys, I'm looking at my time. I really have run out of time. And, you know, I must apologize to what would have been my two guests on the show, Gideon and Numpiake. Guys, I'll try and have you on the next show. I really have run out of time. And again, apologies to you, dear viewer, for all the glitches and the glitchiness. It's new software, or I'm just rusty at the software, if anything. And we'll improve, guys. Thank you so much. Let me end the show off here. Oh, man, there's so much I wanted to talk to my guests about, but I'll try and get them on again, maybe even a round 2 this week. But I'll have to speak to them and try and arrange that. Guys, I'm in Johannesburg at the moment. I'm here for at least 10 days as I reacclimatize, and there's a few changes that are happening. I will keep you guys posted, but effectively what you can expect from the Big Daddy Liberty Show, what you can expect from me is greater freedom to provide alternative media. So going to events, covering them live and bring them to you, whilst I continue to do the work, of course, of going to communities and advocating for my values, faith, flag, family, and freedom, advocating for my ideas, a liberty-leaning society, a society where there's opportunity for everybody based on a market economy. So I'll continue to do that work. Please prepare yourselves if you're in the province of Mpumalanga. That's where I'll be in about 10 days from now, as I bring you the story of the 12 black farmers in that part of the world who are facing eviction by the government simply because they refuse to pay bribes to the state. Now they're being threatened with eviction. I'm going to bring you their story as I continue to show you the threats that are faced by farmers in this country and really all South Africans to our property rights in particular. So I'm going to bring you that story in the next few days. And this week, I'll bring you some content into next week as I fight and bring awareness to South Africans on the issue of expropriation without compensation. We've got to get together and push back against this policy from our politicians. Guys, thank you so much. My apologies for the disappointment in the tone of my voice. I know I'm usually much more gleeful, but I'm just so angry at myself at the show. So my apologies for that again. And a reminder, you can support the Big Daddy Liberty Show. Please donate, guys, a single $1 a month or 20 Rand, either via PayPal or Patreon. The link is in the descriptor. So with that being said, let me say goodbye and thank you to all the guys who commented on the show. I really appreciate your engagement. I will try and set up some admins. I think it's called admins. No, moderators, my apologies, who will then be able to free up the comments and get the conversation going. Guys, thank you so much to everybody who sent a super chat. I can't go through them right now for fear of messing something up. But thank you so much for watching. And remember, as always, yes, you know it's coming, never trust a commie.